Delegate Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me thank Governor Hughes for his eloquent and very personal and moving testimony. About 5 or 6 years ago, that I went to lunch at the shopping mall where my district office was located, the Rotunda in Baltimore, and the governor and his wife eating at the same place. And I asked them what brought them to Baltimore. A doctor's appointment. We didn't discuss what the doctor's appointment was for, but obviously it was for Pat, for the beginning of her treatment and consultation regarding Parkinson's. And the governor also brought up his grandson, who then was already playing baseball, following in his grandfather's footsteps. His leadership, his testament here today, I think really brings home how important it is that as a state, we make decisions that will affect the lives of our citizens in a positive way. Let me also thank the Speaker for his leadership last year in helping us pass this bill through the House, and by making this bill House Bill 1, making it very clear how important this bill is, not just to the House leadership, but how important it is to the people of our state, that we move forward with this research, with embryonic stem cell research, the extraordinary potential that it has for addressing Parkinson's, juvenile diabetes, Alzheimer's, Lou Gehrig's disease. From embryonic stem cell research. And I also thank these committees for your vote and your work on this bill last year. And I hope that you will also see fit this year to give these bills a prompt and favorable report. Finally, let me thank the governor. By putting $20 million in the budget for stem cell research, and by stating that this money would be used for embryonic stem cell research, the governor has taken a major step forward with us to the day when we will keep our scientists here, when we will see what the possibilities are, what the progress that can be made with this scientific research. But between now and sine die, we must work collaboratively. This branch of government, the legislature, the governor, the scientific and the academic communities, so that we have a healthy debate about how this money should be spent, and we establish legally binding criteria, not just somebody's promise, or not somebody saying, well, this agency has a lot of expertise. When we got the money from the tobacco companies, the same two committees, I was then a member of one, the same two committees worked long hours. Chairman, you're well aware of that. We worked long hours to come up with the criteria, the priorities, as to how we were going to spend that money from big tobacco, from the settlement, to enhance the public health of our citizens. We ask that you do the same now with embryonic stem cell research. Prohibit cloning, establish a scientific review panel that will make it very clear with scientific judgment, depoliticizing the process as to which proposals for research should be funded. We urge a favorable report. Thank you. On behalf of the scientists, on behalf of the biotech industry, but most importantly, on behalf of the adults and children who now suffer from these diseases for which embryonic stem cell research could provide a cure, and those in the future who will suffer from those diseases, we urge a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Delegate Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to all of you for your commitment and passion to this critical issue. Just a question for our Delegate Rosenberg. Trying to get a handle on the differences between last year's bill and this year's bill. I know it was quite similar. Could you just point out what, if any, differences there are?
The most significant difference, good question, Delegate. The most significant difference is that last year the bill took money from the cigarette restitution fund and would have, because we were getting new new revenue into that fund and said, let's use that new revenue for this purpose. The bill before you today does not divert a penny from the cigarette restitution fund. It would be from the general fund, consistent with what the governor has done.
Thank you. I also know that there was a provision related to prostate cancer. Is that included in this year's bill?
No, because that was taken from, that was more consistent with the purposes of the CRF, and certainly I support that funding and hope if the committee wants to, in some way, shape, or form, provide for that funding.
There may be another bill out there, huh? Thank you.
Delegate Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question in respect to the bill, Sandy. What is the difference between the functions of these two committees, the Maryland Scientific Peer Review Committee, and then you speak of a Stem Cell Research Commission in the department? Would you tell me what the distinction is between those two?
Well, the first committee is composed of scientists, and they would evaluate the proposals and rank them with numerical criteria to make it very clear that the scientists felt this was the most important, or this was the best proposal that had been presented to them, and in descending order by the number that they gave them. But we were advised that that group, under the state constitution, could not allocate the funds. So we then had to create an entity within DHMH, is how we proposed to do it in the bill, that would formally review the recommendations of the scientists and then make a recommendation that would go through the regular state finance and procurement process for allocation of funds. But we also made it very clear that the scientific review panel would make it very clear this is the most important, in descending order, these are the best proposals we've received. So that if there was any politicization of the process by not funding something that was here on the list and funding something that was lower on the list, the public would be made aware of that and there would be full debate about that.
So in other words, you see one committee as being non-political, as putting in order the priority of these different uses of the monies, and the second committee is more political, just for purposes of allocating money, but they too could be not in agreement.
Well, hopefully not political, but we were advised that under the state constitution, in terms of how money could be allocated, you could not have it done by the commission, by the scientific review panel.
I understand that, but the scientific review, they may be in disagreement with the scientific review. Can they be in disagreement with the scientific review panel?
Yes, but they would have to justify to the public why, because it would be very clear as to what the ranking of the proposals from the scientific review body.
It seems like there's a little bit of duplication here, but thank you.
Delegate Bates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Delegate, it appears as if 2 members of the Scientific Review Commission are selected by the University System of Maryland and 2 by Johns Hopkins. That's a total 40% of your commission. Do you see any potential conflict of interest? Because aren't they going to be competing for some of those grants?
Well, we took people from those 2 entities because of the extraordinary resource that provides. I believe either existing law or in the bill there is a provision dealing with conflict of interest. They could not sit on any proposals that that they were directly involved in. But that language is very similar, if not identical, to what the committee approved last year.
But you're saying that they cannot sit on any, what do you mean sit on any proposals? I mean, they would be evaluating and ranking the various grant requests, is that correct?
Yes.
So do you not see that there might be a conflict in terms of trying to rank those if 2 members are from Hopkins? Indeed, will be competing for some of those grants.
Well, the bill provides on page 6, line 30, that each member of the committee shall disclose to the State Commission on Ethics whether the member is employed by or has a financial interest in